Hey, this is Sky. Welcome to my YouTube channel. It's bright and early, daily discipline, mind, body, and soul. This is how we get through Sunday. Let's do our study group for warriors, my hardcore heads. I got some incense going. I like this stuff. The last stuff I bought was awful. Ugh. Made my whole house smell like donkey balls. I buy incense from the little Indian store around the corner. Sometimes it's hit or miss with that stuff. This stuff is good though. I got some music going, get me in the vibe. I'm all dressed up. Some of you may notice. I got shit to do. Let's get into it. You become what you practice. That's a little bit of advice, a little rule of life. You become what you practice. What you do all day is what you end up as. What you do the most is what you end up good at. I could stay on each one of these for a long time, but I have 7 pages, so let me just bust through some of these. Here's a little bit of advice for someone who's suicidal. Anybody out there suicidal or ever been suicidal? I'm currently not, but I have been there in the past, so I can relate. You can always do it tomorrow, right? I mean, why rush into it? If you're like me, you're probably lazy. Most likely you're lazy because you've probably been avoiding all kinds of stuff in your life. That's how you got to this weak and awful point right now. And you can put off literally everything else in your life. Why not put this off too? You could always do it tomorrow. Sure, you got the gun, you got the bullets. You could pull the trigger tomorrow just as easily as today. Better yet, see, I'll teach you a little trick in laziness. I'm the master of laziness. Why put something off till tomorrow when you could put it off until the day after tomorrow? I'll get to it the day after tomorrow. It's just some advice if you're suicidal. Let's move on. Here's some advice for people that want to be successful. Adapt, overcome, and remain open-minded. So you adapt, you might need to make a little move, alter your course, and get back on course in order to go around an obstacle. Go over an obstacle, go under it. But you may need to maneuver. Become good at adapting. Be adaptable. Adaptability is a survival skill. But part of adapting to an obstacle is overcoming it, getting past it, moving on from it. Physically and mentally. It's very easy, I can't say easy, it is easier to move past an obstacle physically than it is mentally. Oh, I myself am whining and crying and complaining about trauma from obstacles years ago. We all do this, some worse than others. And when that happens, you know, you might have PTSD, you have some issues, and you haven't truly gotten past it. You have not overcome. Overcoming means stop talking about that shit, stop worrying about that shit, stop being in that moment, stop worrying about that obstacle. The future is unknown, and there may be much bigger obstacles to come, so you're gonna need to forget all about that one. Sure, you got scars and bruises from it, but it's time to stay focused on the future. Let's move to the next one. Here's a little rule. Some people know this, some people don't. Money and success doesn't change anyone. You've probably thought, well, I have a buddy of mine who got rich and oh, the money changed him. No, it didn't. No, it didn't. I don't know your buddy. I can tell you right now, it didn't change your buddy. No, it didn't change him. And you're sitting there, arms crossed, you don't know. I do know. It only reveals who they really are. You just didn't know who that motherfucker really was. You thought you knew him this whole time. It just took a little bit of money to reveal who he really was. Some people, it reveals that they're a really great person. I was watching an interview with Pitbull. I'm not a fan of his, but he's big down in Florida here. Like that rapper guy, he's Cuban or something. And the question was, is money the root of all evil? And he said, well, it can be, but it isn't for him. And he said it isn't because he gives a lot of money away. So his wealth showed who he was, somebody who was charitable and altruistic and caring. Who knows what background, I don't know his life story, but he may not have always been that way. It took money to find out who he really was. Let's move on to the next one. You guys think about death? I think about death. You go check my last name. I think about death. I'm a fucking angel of death. So here's the point. You're either going to die right or you're going to die wrong. Don't die wrong. How do you die wrong? Or how do you die right? It's all about how you're living. You live right, you die right. You live wrong, you die wrong. What does it mean to live right? As I've gotten older, 52, I'll be 53 next month. Living right means being good, fighting evil, living for a higher power. But you guys can choose what you think. Let's move on to the next one. This is pretty complex. I may have to make a whole separate video about this at some point, but let's just bust through it. I could spend 45 minutes easily just on this. Let's just do a little bit of self-analysis really quickly. Self-analysis. So these are going to be questions that we're going to ask ourselves. You're going to sit down and you're going to think about this stuff. Be humble. Think like maybe you got into an argument with your boss or your wife, or I don't know, something fucked up happened, and when that stuff happens, it's good, if you're smart, to take a little second and think about the situation. So ask yourself, what minimum crime did I commit? Did I have any role in that battle, in that problem, in that negativity? Was that just out of nowhere? I'm walking down the street and a safe falls out of a building on my head, or did I have anything to do with this? What minimum crime did I commit? And if you can identify that you had anything to do with it at all, and you might have, you can ask, how significant was the mistake? Was it a big deal? Was it not a big deal? Now, we're innocent until proven guilty, and I like to think that I'm innocent, and I hate to be accused of being guilty when I'm innocent. And if you are innocent, you'll feel innocent. If you're guilty, you may feel guilty if you have any sort of conscience, and you may be able to just stay right there and say, okay, I actually did do something wrong. But if you're having a hard time figuring this out, you can try taking the opposite position. Maybe you got in an argument with your boss or your wife or your kid. Try taking their position, just in your head, just as a game, as a thought experiment, and see what happens. So maybe you've decided on that you did have some sort of hand in whatever problem is going on. You can move to action. It's not enough just to identify a problem. You have to move into the fixing. You can't just diagnose it. You have to fix it. The fixing is easy once you diagnose something, though. So you can ask yourself, what's the minimum transformation that I would need to take? What's the minimum necessary transformation to move forward? Now, maybe you're depressed, maybe you're anxious, maybe you're all fucked up. And you may want to think about, is this a serious medical issue? Are you actually needing to go see a psychiatrist or a coach or something? But this may just simply be a trivial maintenance problem, lifestyle problem, discipline problem, and you can get on top of that and snap out of your funk and get right back on track. Let's move to the next one. Here's some advice. Don't be isolated, alone, and without a goal, chasing pleasure. So don't do that. You're thinking, okay, I'll do that. No, don't do that. Don't be isolated, alone, and without a goal, chasing pleasure. And you say, well, why not? Because it makes you go crazy. So you need to find a direction. And if you don't have a direction, you're going to end up in what they call isolated hedonic slavery. That doesn't sound good, does it? Here's a question. Do you want to leave a legacy? Is that important to you, leaving a legacy? I think a lot of guys say yes. I've been asked this before. What kind of legacy are you going to leave, Sky? As if I need to get on top of this shit. You know, I'm getting older. I don't know. Have you ever seen that movie Falling Down? That could be my legacy. You keep pushing me. You want to go down in history, basically, right? That's what a legacy is. Well, that's prideful and arrogant, narcissistic, and sinful. It's a sin. You're a sinner. No, what you're supposed to do is leave God's legacy. You're not supposed to leave your legacy on this earth. You leave God's legacy. So you're not working to make yourself rich. You're working for God. And maybe if you get rich on the way, good for you. Maybe you can give some of that money away. But you do God's work selflessly with no plan of fame or a place in history. Because none of that's going to matter when the judgment time is, when your judgment is coming. All that's going to matter is how you lived your life. You got to ask yourself, are you working for man? Are you working for the man? Or are you working for God? Let's go on to the next one. You guys pro-marriage? I'm pro-marriage. I'm pro-marriage. And what I mean by that is I mean that there has to be a ceremony with two people, man and a woman, and, you know, whatever type of person that marries you, whether it be a religious or there's lots of different people that can marry you, but a third party, and there has to be people in the audience. And the whole point of it is for you to let people know, everybody in your village or your town, in your community, that's my chick, you keep your little dirty hands off her. How about you don't even look at her funny? That's mine, she's mine. So it lets it all be known. It ain't no girlfriend, that's my wife. But it's also a vow, it's a pact, it's a partnership, it's a communion. It's a relationship that you can't just run from. You can run from your little girlfriend. Oh, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm just not feeling it. I think I fell out of love with you. Oh, you can do all that crap with your girlfriend. My opinion, you have your own opinion. My opinion, you cannot do that with your wife. No. I don't believe in divorce. How many of you are divorced out there? I don't believe in it. Oh, you're a sinner. I don't believe in divorce. Marriage isn't a relationship you're getting out of. Now, this is one of the reasons why you want to, instead of fucking all the time in the courtship phase, actually get to know them. But bottom line with it is I don't break a vow. I don't break vows. I've made vows in the streets with criminals. And I don't break no vow. I don't break a vow. To me, that's serious. When I'm all alone, I think about the vow that I made and I'm like, I better not fuck up on that, because I know this is between me and God. You know, and another thing on the marriage thing, without marriage, you can never really know someone for who they are. They'll always be able to just run away with an escape route. They always have this escape route, this back door they can just run out of. But with a marriage, you're in it. We're going to work it out. I'll sleep on the couch, but we're going to work it out. Let's go to the next one. You want purpose and meaning in your life? A lot of people do. Find something or someone to serve so you can have a job and be the best at your job and serve your community with your job. And it doesn't matter what your job is. I don't care if you work at a convenience store. We need convenience stores, man. Don't discount being that convenience store guy. If you work at one of those, be the fucking coolest convenience store guy that's ever been. Everybody in the community will come there and love you. Serve your family. Obviously, some people need to be slapped around and told that as you shake them till their neck breaks. Serve your family. That'll give you meaning and purpose. Serve your friends. Serve your society, your community. Let's move on to the next one. Do we have any time left? I have a couple pages left. Oh, geez, I got a lot, too. Are you depressed? Or do you just have a terrible life? Because you might just have a really shitty life, and you might not be depressed. Your life might just suck, and you need to do something about it. And as you change your life, you'll be happier. But if you have a good life, then it's either biological or psychological, and you may need help. Don't be ashamed to get help. I went to a psychiatrist twice a week for 8 years. Here, there's two types of dudes out there. There's two types of guys. There's cool dudes and there's fucking nerds. That's the way I see it. There's only two types of dudes in the world, two types of people. Doesn't matter what country you're from, what race you are, how old you are, doesn't matter. None of that matters. You're either cool or you're a nerd. And I only like cool people. I'm sick of these nerds, man. I don't know about you guys. Let's try to pick some. I got so much, I don't think we're going to be able to do more. Let's just pick one more and we'll blast through it. Is there an inherent obligation of following the mainstream of society? You know, to be part of a democracy. Are we a part of a democracy? Now, we think of a democracy as everybody can think whatever they want, and that's true. But the mainstream thought, because a democracy is majority rule. So that means, by definition, the mainstream is what rules our society. We decide all of our laws, and everything in this country is geared towards the mainstream. So if you're one of these people who's always against the mainstream, aren't you, by definition, anti-democratic? If you spent your entire life fighting against society, mainstream society, as an outcast, aren't you against democracy? I don't know. I thought that was an interesting question. I have 2 pages on friendship. We'll just do another video on that some other time. Have a good day.